Yes, yes.
And then they would bring it in ashore, but they also hauled all the produce and vegetables and watermelons from the eastern shore and so forth. The next dark hull boat is very interesting. It's probably the oldest boat in the show this year. It's the Katy, and it was built as a bum boat. A term you rarely hear, but it was used to take supplies out to the other ships, larger ships that were anchored out in a harbor or a port. But it was also later used, after World War I, by the U.S. Navy, and it's been an oyster patrol boat to patrol oyster reefs. If you haven't gotten a chance to go aboard her, she's really a classic inside. I'm not familiar with this boat, but my list says a 1924 Smith & Williams commuter type boat, the Kensington. And the next boat is another privately owned by boat here, the Peggy, owned by Kim and Gretchen Rickberry of the area here. Kim and Gretchen have lived aboard this boat. Now they live here in Reedville in the area, and they take the boat up in July and August, and they go up to Maine and live aboard that boat. The next boat is a 1926 Red Bank yacht. It's a cruiser. The name of Old Dad, owned by Dave Thatcher. The next boat is by a famous builder, an Elko. It's a small Elko Marinette named Good Woman by Frank Hollowell. I think one of the interesting things about the hull in this boat is if you look at that boat from the bow or stern, it's almost built like a sailboat hull, very rounded. This next boat is a consolidated sedan cruiser named Trooper 2, owned by John Bunting. This boat has been in his family for over 50 years. And that's the bright work is all just natural varnish on the mahogany wood. The next boat is the Colonel, which is a Krantz patrol boat, 1936, owned by Carol Davies. The next boat with the blue top coming into view is a Chris Craft. It's owned by Cliff and Glenda Ames, and Cliff is in charge of the entire boat show. He puts on the boat show each year. He lives here in Reedville. And it's a 1939 Chris Craft. Okay. We'll come in here a little bit later. All the people that live right there. Next coming into view is a Matthews, a 1941 Matthews cruiser, Carina, owned by Chris, Mike, and Phil Troy. You'll see several Matthews boats in the show this year. And interesting to note, right behind it is another 1941 boat. So those two boats built in the same year. The next one, however, is a Chris Craft. And I take that back. The Chris Craft is not in it. The Chris Craft may be coming. The boat directly out in front of us is another Matthews, however, And that one I know is owned by Wendell Hain here in Reedville. Ashley's Hope is a dead rise Chesapeake Bay built boat owned by Jim and Kathy Wagner. It was built in 1956. Now we have another Chris Craft, and this should be a 1958 Chris Craft. And behind it, the small runabout there is a 1960 Lyman. Lyman built a good number of boats, and many are restored today. It's a runabout named Moonrise, owned by Howard Johnson. Next boat is interesting for us here in Reedville. It was built by the Tiffany Company, which is located very close to Reedville, right up near Burgess. Still building boats to this day, and built wooden boats up until the 1980s. This is a 1962 Tiffany, owned by Otis Cockrell. And it was originally built as a sport fisherman. Its name is Bay Lady. And Otis took the sport fisherman and lengthened the cabin on it, so he has more liveaboard space on the interior. The large boat coming right in front of us now is a famous builder from up in Annapolis named Trumpy. It's a 1965 Trumpy named White Swan. It's owned by Bill Bowman. The next large boat in front has an interesting history. The boat, a little over a year ago, was destined to be sold for scrap and cut up. A gentleman that owns it bought it for $390. And it has all the comforts of home, including a heating and air conditioning system, washer, dryer, a true bathtub, a true liveaboard boat. It's a Greenwich or a Greenwich, however you want to pronounce that. It's about 48 feet. Coming up next is a 1966 Chris Craft. A Sea Straight is the type of Chris Craft. His name is Chief Powhatan. John Rothard owns it. And it has, of course, a nice lap straight look to the boat. Behind it is a lobster boat from Maine. One of the big Maine designers of lobster boats. One of the most well-known people up there is a fellow named Arno Day. And this is a wooden-hulled Arno Day sailboat, a lobster boat, owned by Jay and Karen Roman. Jay works and is the head of the boat building and woodworking shop up at